Hi, everybody, and welcome to the wrap up of the news for the day. And first of all, I want to say that consumer watchdogs have been stopped by Elon Musk. These consumer watchdogs help the American people by fighting for them against banking institutions and other institutions who are stealing from them and trying to rip them off. Don't know why Musk did that, but I'm sure he thought he had a good reason. FEMA employees were fired over making payments to migrants who came into the country. John Kennedy calls on Congress to end funding to National Public Radio. Trump threatens Hamas to release hostages or else all hell will break loose. And I don't know if he's talking about all hell will break loose on the Palestinian people or on the terrorist group of Hamas. Also, more in the news. At the news conference in the Oval Office where that Musk was giving while Trump was sitting at his desk, Musk's son went over and told Trump to hush, and you can find that on YouTube online where he told Musk's 6-year-old son told Trump to be hushed up, and then he picked his nose and rubbed it on his desk. And who knows? It maybe for whatever reason, I don't think a 6-year-old really knew what was happening there. Um, 5 inspector generals who were looking into Musk's fraud and abuse case were fired by Musk. So, must be nice, huh? Um, Musk gets $8 million a day from the U.S. federal government for work that he does for the U.S. federal government. I'm assuming that has to do with SpaceX, amongst other things. Um, Representative Raskin says Musk is going to be hit or has already been hit by a action suit that represents the American people. So this class action suit is brought on by the American people because Musk has gotten into their private business and private affairs. And the thing that makes me wonder about if Musk knows what he's doing or not, does he realize that all of these laws and all of this money that's going out, that he's canceling out, has been voted on by Congress already? And that anything that we decide to do financially must be voted on by members of Congress, and members of the representatives in Congress represent the people of their district who voted them in. And so I'm not sure he understands the American way of doing things. He wasn't born and bred in the United States, and I'm not sure how they ran things in Africa, where he's from, in South Africa, but it's not quite the same here, I'm sure. But yeah, we do vote on everything, and every single penny that is appropriated to anyone is already voted on and discussed, and at length sometimes, in the halls of Washington, D.C., in the halls of Congress. Um, so this thing about him uh, getting rid of the United States aid to other countries. What Musk doesn't understand about that is that, and most congressmen and representatives will tell you, that this appropriation to help people in other countries is more of a political move. It's not about being nice to people. I'm sure that there are a handful of people voted in, and maybe a lot of people in Washington, D.C., who just want to do things for other people to be nice. But as a politician, they can't just do things to be nice. They have to do things that benefit our country. And so they believe that helping other countries has a positive return on it. Helping other people makes us look good to the rest of the universe, where we, America, United States of America, looks like a shining star. Also, being nice to other people makes them in return remember us in the future when maybe they can help us at some point or another. So helping other people helps us in return, yeah, on several different levels, ranging from militarily, financially, socially, um, so different levels. And so it's not just about being nice. Helping other people in other countries is not just about being nice. It's a political move. It's a move on the chessboard for the United States. It's good for the United States to be open-handed and open-hearted with other people in other countries. It's good for us politically. It's not that anyone's necessarily trying to be nice or woke. It's a political move. And so I'm not sure how far in the future that they can think about these things, but if you can like jump over the hurdle, that barrier in your mind that stops you from thinking further into the future, you would see that being nice to other people in other countries and helping them out when they need help benefits us in numerous different ways. Um, um, so because Musk is jumping into everyone's finances in the United States of America, both big and small, people who work for, private companies, people who work for themselves, people who work for federal agencies, that now there's this class action lawsuit against Musk for getting into everybody's business illegally, and passing things, against certain segments of society that were voted on in Congress already, and for where they had more information and knew how to appropriate money and who to have in charge. Like, for example, people are criticizing Musk and the Trump administration because after they fired a bunch of people from the airlines in technical fields and fields where you really have to know what you're doing, there's been 3 plane crashes already, and he's only into the first month of the presidency. So sometimes saving money is not the answer because it's going to cost more money long term for people when these types of things like airplane crashes happen, I'm assuming. So we'll see about that. I mean, well, as far as the Americans are concerned, there's less than 350 million Americans. If we want a class action suit against Musk for that exact amount of money plus attorney's fees, let's say 350 million, $600 million, he'd have it. He makes that in one day. And so in one day, each and every one of us could get $1 million from Elon Musk because of a class action suit filed against him for getting into our personal business and drawing conclusions about things that he really doesn't know about. He's saying some woman had $8 million and she worked for a federal agency. Maybe she won the lottery. I don't know. But you can't draw conclusions without digging a little deeper, So how would you like $1 million? Now, even if a judge did rule in favor of the American people, saying that Musk would owe the American people $600 million, then that he's not going to give it to us, right? I mean, I'm assuming that he's going to appeal it and appeal it and appeal it and appeal it, and then when it gets to the final appeal, even if they voted in the American people's direction, even if the courts ruled in the direction of the American people, we probably still wouldn't get it, right? But it's still nice to know that you have it coming, even if it isn't there. Um, I'm not going to be giving any personal feelings about this kind of thing at all. I'm just letting this, I'm just reporting the news. Um, Trump spoke to Putin and Zelensky to end the war against Ukraine by Russia soon. He's expecting the peace talks to start soon. And of course, the end result of the peace talks is to make everybody happy, including himself. Wants to be happy. I'm sure, is going to want something out of this deal. Putin's going to want something out of this deal, and Zelensky's going to want something out of this deal. But I think the most important thing is that Trump's going to want something out of this deal. And Putin's going to want something out of this deal. And probably what Zelensky wants is just please leave us alone. And that's probably all they want. But it looks like everybody's willing to wheel and deal, hopefully, and that goes forward. Only about 13% of Americans polled said that they agree with everything Musk is doing. That's only 13%. And I guess that 13% does not get that $1 million each from the class action suit because they are supporting Musk, therefore will not be in the class action suit against Musk. Okay? So remember that when it's time to collect. No, Musk gets 8 million a day, so that's 2 days' work. Excuse me. So, 8 million a day, yeah, and there's like 350 million. How many days would he have to work to get, let's say, $600 million? $8 million. I don't know. You figure it out. You tell me. So next, also, what else do we have here? I know we have something else. The consumer watchdog group that fights for American citizens against financial institutions, known as the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, has been fired by Musk, and which means Americans will have no protection against being screwed over by financial institutions like banks, for example. And so I don't know what to tell you on that. I'm guessing that maybe you should stop working with banks if that really does come to pass. Looks like it already has. So again, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau has been disbanded by Musk. It is a consumer watchdog, and it is ordered to stop fighting against financial institutions. So what good are they? And why are they there? I guess the whole thing's going to be, it's going to have to be turned over eventually. And now I want to just turn to something that, a lot of younger people are extremely worried about. The older people are also worried about it, but they know that they're going to be dead before the time comes to have to deal with it, whereas the younger people can see themselves or their children or grandchildren having to deal with this problem of too much carbon in the atmosphere. And I know that as kids we all learned a little bit about how things grow in the earth, and we might have even heard something about the kind of chemicals that are in the ground that make things grow, like nitrates, and so on and so forth. But applying cow manure to an acre of land, if done properly, can remove from 5 to 80 tons of carbon out of the atmosphere. Okay? 5 to 80 tons of carbon out of the atmosphere just by applying cow manure to 1 acre of land. Now, a lot of farmers now, cattle ranchers, are going back to the good old-fashioned days where there were actually cowboys rustling cattle, and they have now are allowing their cattle to run loose and graze the land, which is good, but they do recommend that you change grazing areas, so allowing the grasses to grow back and, the land to reclaim itself again. So, rotating the cows, that's a good idea. And also it has to be carefully balanced because, as we all know, fumes from cows do also pollute the atmosphere. So, like a good step to take, if you wanted to do this, would be to of course, you have to apply nitrates to the earth, and nitrates when create an element in the earth where the microbes build to a point where the microbes start sucking carbon out of the atmosphere. That is how this works. That is how all this carbon is sucked out of the atmosphere by cow pods over an acre of land, is that the cow pods incite the microbes to react in such a way where they start sucking carbon out of the atmosphere. Now, that's how it is naturally. We're not doing anything that nature hasn't already done since the beginning of time. It's just that over the last 100 years, 200 years, 100 years probably more, we have ruined the soil so much with chemical fertilizers and over farming the same crops over and over without rotating the crops and that sort of thing, that we just ripped off the topsoil so the earth can no longer suck in the carbon that it used to suck in. So so what you use compost. Now, compost comes from organic material. Anything organic, like orange peels, apple rinds, anything that is like garbage, I guess, that you can bury under the earth. You don't want to bury it 6 feet under. It's going to take too long to suck the carbon out. Bury it in more shallow area, like maybe 6 inches under, or a foot under, probably max. And the same that probably goes for manure, cow manure. And by the way, this cow manure that you get doesn't smell bad. It's aged, it's old, it's dried up. It smells like dirt. It smells like dirt and grass mixed together. And, it's not a horrible thing to have to deal with. So, so the thing is that it increases the soil microbes, which can pull carbon out of the air, as I said. And in some areas, it can pull 1 to 10 tons per acre for the type of compost that we're talking about, that is made from vegetables and, eggshells and that kind of thing. Also, other things that will help to pull the carbon out is that you do not have to, they don't recommend that you destroy the soil in any way. You want to keep the roots living as much as possible in nearby vegetation. You don't want to rip all the trees out. You want to keep the roots there. The roots have a vital purpose in grass roots as well. Even small plants it's important. And crop rotations, of course, and no tilling. No tilling the soil. I didn't know that until now, that tilling the soil was ultimately bad. I guess it's better just to poke a hole in the soil and throw some seeds in it rather than actually tilling the soil and pulling it up, which makes sense because you're pulling up all the roots from the grasses. Right, there's something changing in there. You want to keep the microbes in there. You don't want them to come to the surface and dry out, for one thing. I mean, I'm assuming. I'm just looking for something that makes sense here. And so no-till farming as well. But it's the nitrogen in the soil. So the nitrogen in the soil that causes plants to grow, which is brought on by the compost. The nitrogen is increased by compost. The nitrogen is increased by cow manure. And so the nitrogen is what makes these microbes react and start sucking carbon out of the atmosphere. Tons and tons and tons of carbon. So you have a farm, you have a backyard. How about you take your kitty poo and bury it in a corner of the backyard every now and then? Every little bit counts, right? And then you take, but it's not if it has chemical kitty litter. You can, the clay kitty litter, the natural kind of kitty litter that they use, that you can bury too, couple inches under the soil. I mean, right now we're at a point where nothing is allowed no kind of poo at all is allowed in the soil. Not ours, not our dogs, and not even our cats, basically. So, the soil is not getting fed because one of the biggest things that feeds the soil is poo, okay? And everybody's all the poo's getting flushed down the toilet or getting picked up with plastic gloves and thrown in the trash or whatever. That's our biggest fertilizer. And we're not using it at all, okay? So, every little bit helps. You want to listen, if you get a flower pot and put one single piece of cow manure in it that's maybe about that big, then it will help suck carbon out of the atmosphere, okay? You have 20 flower pots in your house, each one with maybe an orange peel in it, okay? Maybe an apple peel in it, whatever you have in there. No chemical fertilizer. It will help suck carbon out of the atmosphere. Now, maybe it's just the atmosphere you're living in, but yeah, it's still somewhere. If you have, the more you have, the better. The more you can bury some kind of thing, that organic material, into the soil, whether it be some kind of poo or manure or just compost made of fruits and vegetables that are left over or cut up, then the more the earth gets fed, the more it creates nitrogen, the more the nitrogen excites the microbes, and the more the microbes suck carbon out of the atmosphere. And this everybody can do. Not only that, but there's ways that they're starting to fix the oceans as well, because the oceans should be sucking carbon into them as well. So to make the oceans suck carbon into them more, like they should be doing, there's certain minerals you can add to it, like iron, for example. Did you know if you threw an iron horseshoe into the ocean, it would help the microbes in the ocean suck carbon out of the atmosphere, at which point the carbon will sink down to the bottom of the ocean and kind of be trapped at the bottom of the ocean at that point. So you can't be throwing nails in there or knives or anything that's made of iron. You don't want to hurt anybody. You want to keep it safe. That's why I said horseshoe. It's big, it's flat, it's made of iron. Has to be made of iron. There are other elements also besides iron. I think calcium's one of them, but you can look that up. So, there are simple things that we can do to suck the carbon out of the atmosphere. While it is true, we're still going to have to suffer some effects from the damage that has already been done, whether it be raging wildfires, crazy tornadoes and hurricanes in places that never happened before, flooding because of the ice sheets melting. Yeah, we're going to still have to go through some of that stuff. But the sooner we get started on this project of sucking carbon out of the atmosphere and back into the ground where it belongs and back into the ocean where it belongs, then the sooner it gets fixed. They're still going to perish. Okay, it's kind of too late to completely stop it. Honestly, we have to stop digging carbon out and using carbon too, because the whole problem is the carbon, you know. So why would we keep digging carbon out and using carbon for electric lights or whatever at this point? And so that's my special presentation is about how to suck carbon. All is not lost, kids. We can start working on this now. You can suck carbon out of the atmosphere, and that's my final project is talking about this right now. That all is not lost. It's not the end of the world. And you know what? When things do start getting rough, just have a to-go bag and be ready to go wherever you have to go. Stay healthy, stay strong, carry your to-go pack on you, and be ready to be a climate migrant within the United States or whatever country you're living in or whatever continent you're living on. There's going to always be some place, and it might change from day to day. One day, my one place might be better. Then, whoops, tornado coming. Next place, another place. Next day, another place might be better. Whoops, flooding coming. Next day, another place. So, you know, you have to kind of get used to moving around. But it's doable. And you have to have a sense of adventure, and you have to be strong, and you have to be courageous. But it's going to be doable, okay? So I think that's it. I'm done with this. And if you've been watching, thank you. And I'm going to continue doing these day after day and just for fun because I enjoy doing it. And so just want to thank you again and see you next time. This is Kathy Meadows signing out.